Hey Pavan, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
So, Ronak, we're all waiting. I've given them a quick, brief on what are we going to talk about today. But if you just want to take everybody through a little more about yourself and what do you do?
So basically, I started off with nightlife quite a while back, and then I also studied my dentistry. But during that, I continued with events, and then I got an option to open Kiba. So I quit dentistry, and now I'm a full time into hospitality.
Yeah, I think you're the first dentist who's also a restaurateur. Definitely.
It's
So,
a rare combination.
you operate a lot in the luxury nightlife space in Bombay, and I think we all have been attending your events for a while. So, how did
Right.
that start, and when did you get into that, and what was the entire field? What's the entire field all about, and how do you go about it?
So basically, when I started off, it was very different back then. You didn't have Instagram, you didn't have social media, you couldn't connect with owners. There weren't so many promoters, there weren't so many restaurants, there weren't so many bars. Started off small, started off working for a company. It was supposed to be a pocket money project, which turned into a full time business. Um, Now, when you talk about luxury, it's a very, very difficult market because there are so many venues, there's so many promoters, everyone knows everyone, and also the crowd is very finicky when they want a certain kind of, ambience. They want a certain kind of crowd. They want if it's too crowded, they don't like it. If it's too empty, they don't like it. So you got to really connect with your crowd to differentiate yourself from the rest. Because today with the era of like hosts and promoters, everyone is basically a promoter, right? I don't think like everyone we know has either hosted an event or promoted an event in their life. But you got to differentiate yourself. There are people who do it, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't like to do that personally because I feel like it creates a disconnect with your crowd. So I like to change that, and I like to do only like 3 events a month to 4 events at the maximum. Mainly five-star hotels and standalones, which are a lot more premium because that is the kind of crowd that I cater to.
Okay. And when did you start Kiba?
It's been around 2.5 years since we started Kiba.
And can you take us through what the entire inception of Kiba and how do you go about it? What's the brand story behind it?
So basically, we first base it on a cuisine. I think whenever you're starting a restaurant, it's really important to first get your cuisine right, and according to that, you get your ambience, your menus, your everything according to the cuisine. So when we started, we wanted to do something like we did Asian because there weren't so many Asian restaurants back then. Today, every second restaurant opening is Asian, and that is the reason behind that. And the reason is that everyone, the Indian palate is very like it resonates with the Asian palate for sure. You can go and try a new cuisine once in a month, but Asian food is something that we can eat even thrice a week.
Right.
So it was first based on the Asian cuisine, and then the entire decor done by Sumesh really, uplifted that for us. We had some great partners, let it be, bartenders who really helped us create sugar-free alcohol, or we even make like our sauces indoor. So for me, it was differentiating myself from the remaining of the Asian restaurants. Kiba, the name came up because it means horse racing in Japanese and it means sunrise in Hawaiian. We have a beautiful outdoor area, and Japanese and we're by the stable, so it kind of like fit it
Yeah.
perfectly. So that's where Kiba came about.
So are you planning to open more outlets, expand? Not right now, obviously, but eventually.
Right now, not for sure, but eventually, for sure, that is the plan. We're all gonna have to see where it goes, how, when. Everyone's plans are delayed. Whatever we had to do, everyone's halted everything. For
So
now,
this
for
is
sure.
something that comes up in every conversation, right? Like what's happening with the current situation with your business, and how are you dealing with everything that's going on?
So honestly, restaurateurs always complain that we don't have time because it's a 24/7 job, right? Like you're always on the go, you're always on your phone. The only time you have some time to reboot, work on yourself, work on your skills, work on your menus, work on your staff. Like you can still, even though your staff now with you, you can connect with them. You can like do a lot of courses. You also need to work with your customers and regain their trust. You need to show them your hygiene protocols. You need to, work on your ingredients, and not only for the gram. You actually need to do all this because right now it's a big concern, right? Everyone's scared for their health, and you need to be as well. Besides that, you can also, like a lot of restaurants, though we're the biggest hit industry, we're working towards feeding the needy and the people who are not, getting food.
Right.
I don't know how, but restaurateurs always do that. Even though we're always hit, we come back fighting hard and we help those in need.
So is this a good time to sort of, step back, relook at how one is doing business and, innovate more?
100%. Like you have the time. Like people are always complaining that they're bored and frustrated, and I get that. We're all under stress, but it's the best time to sit and work on yourself. Learn stuff. There's so much to learn online right now. There's free courses. There are paid courses. Work on learning how to do a P&L. Like I've seen so many restaurants, like, that everyone opens a restaurant for a passion, but they forget it's also a business. Some people don't know if they're making or losing money. You need to work on every small thing on your P&L. So you need to know if you're losing money, where you can save money, where you can earn more money. Everyone's opening ghost kitchens now. It's the biggest thing right now. It is a great thing because you need to, work on more sources of revenue, because as restaurateurs, our fixed income is going to be the same. Our fixed costs are going to be the same. So you need to work on that. But also put some thought into it. See the cuisine. Don't just open a ghost kitchen for the sake of it. It might not do well, and you might even spoil the name of your restaurant already. So put a lot of thought into it. Design your menu.
Who get into the delivery side of it massively with introducing new brands?
We're working on it. We're planning on it. Again, as I told you, I don't want to just open something. We need to see how and when the market opens up. The hospitality industry is going to take a very long time to even open up. Even right now, most of the people are not even bringing in. And whoever is delivering is making their best to make sure that it's safe. They're putting out protocols. They're keeping everything clean. But it's a tough call. It's going to be with time. You need to be prepared for either scenario. You never know. Tomorrow, if a vaccine does come out, it's going to take some time. But if it does, everything can go back to normal. There was a survey done by someone recently, and they put out a question asking that would you, after this is over, would you go to concerts, would you go to restaurants, or would you not go to either? I'd say 70-80% people said they would go to between restaurants and not either. Like concerts is going to be really tough for us to get back into.
Yeah, and also
so even nightlife, it's going to take a really long time.
Yeah, but I feel that that's the way of life with people, right? Humans are social beings, and it's very important to meet people, connect with people. So while everybody is in this lockdown right now, as soon as things become better, I think restaurant is something that everybody would want to go to. And definitely it's about what measures do brands take and how safe do they make their customer feel about it.
100%.
So anyway, what we'll do is we'll quickly segue into our prime topic for today. We want to talk about what difference can one who wants to get into the industry or somebody who's already into the industry can develop during this time. And you and me have been talking a lot offline, and we've discussed multiple things that you've been doing, so which are really interesting. So if you can take everybody through on a couple of things that you've been doing right now, and how people can incorporate that into their lives right now, and something that also does not take up too much time otherwise.
Sure. I mean, we have all the time in the world right now.
Yeah.
But besides that, so anyone who wants to get in the industry, and if you have idols, you like the way someone works, right now is the best time to message them on Instagram. You have social media. They're free. This is the only time they'll ever have time to even reply to you. But at the same time, don't pester them. They aren't obliged to message you, but most of the people in this industry are very sweet to help you out. So go ahead, message them. There are a lot. The NRI Youth Committee itself is doing interviews every day. Follow them. So that's very informative. Besides that, there's a ton of courses online. Let it be bartending, let it be spirits, let it be Howard's giving out free courses on science of food. It's free. LinkedIn has 1 month of free learning. You can do that. There are courses for SEO. There are courses for P&L. There are books that you can read which are really good, and it's catered to the Indian hospitality industry. One is by Anuti Vishal. I think it says how to start a business, and it tells you how your restaurant can fizzle out or sizzle out before you even launch. Some restaurants are basically shot before you reach the main course.
Right.
It takes a lot to get into, especially with this much competition, and it's always tough for restaurants right now. Let it be the laws, let it be the government. It's been very tough for us. So you need to really be sure of what you're doing. It's not just a passion project. You have to make money. It's a full-time job. You can't just say, I want to open a restaurant or bar and do it. It's not going to happen. There are a lot of courses besides that. Udemy has a really good has good courses, masterclass. I've been doing, if anyone wants any bartending courses, feel free to message me. I'll send you the free links and everything. The Pernod Ricard is doing an official course, the Pernod Ricard USA on Basmats, which is really informative. For anyone who's not even in hospitality and just wants to understand wines, because I feel like we don't know too much about our wines, Christy Norman has a really nice course, which is, again, you just need to DM on Instagram. She gives you the password for free, and she's really sweet to even talk to. Just message her. She'll give you the password, and you can do a course. And the only videos they teach you how to identify wines, how to open a wine bottle, how to even the different grapes, how it's named, the pricing, what's value for money, how you should make your wine menu. It's really informative that way.
And so definitely I'm going to ask you to sum this up into sort of a blog and send it to us, because there are a lot of people who would actually want to know exactly. So yeah, there is a lot of great knowledge about wine and bartending. There is redoing your microfinancing for restaurants that people can definitely look into. Some interesting books like Starting Up Your Own Restaurant and Business on a Platter by Anuti Vishal. And so a couple of things that people can do, which right now you're doing to just gear up with some skills before this starts. And do you think this will also lead into sorting of doing some research for new food trends or new bar trends which are going to be there in the post-COVID era?
100%. I feel like cocktail bars are going to be a new thing. It's already a very big thing in America and Europe. India's still catching on. I feel like it's really tough for us to adapt to new cultures. Exactly. Yeah. I feel like that's really going to develop now. So it's definitely worth looking into. Even speakeasy bars is something that we don't have. So that's something definitely which I feel like could be the new thing. Even restaurants which have more spacing, more hygiene, just all that's definitely going to make a big difference.
So definitely, I think it's more of a brand segment market post this. People are definitely going to rely more on brands and what they want to say, how do they convey themselves, and how do they make a customer feel every time they walk into a restaurant, or even maybe just call for a delivery from them. Except that, how do you plan on seeking the nightlife business post-COVID? What are your steps into that, and how long do you think? Like, again, this is not something that any of us can predict. How long is it going to be for?
Exactly. Yeah.
But how do you think it's going to change? And also, there are some concepts abroad which are currently trending, which are nightclubs on Zoom. So there is an actual bouncer who lets you get into your rooms. You can buy like a private chat room with a cover charge, and there are different artists playing, and they're actually trying to make that into a business. Do you think a model like that would work in India?
Personally, I don't think so. Again, as I said, it's really tough for us to adapt to new concepts and especially pay for them. If it's free, it's a different thing, but as my knowledge, it's really tough for that to work. People will just be like, I'll get my own Zoom call, I'll get my own house party. I don't think that's going to work here. We did try doing some live parties, like couch parties and all of that. It's fun. It depends on how long this lasts. It could possibly work, but it's a very slim chance in my opinion.
So we have a couple of questions here. There are a lot of our friends also who are logged in. There's Ronak, Jani, Kunal, Nikhil. So, okay, we have a question here from Nikhil. How many seater bars do you think are ideal for the current market right now? Do you think people will scale up into bigger segments which are 4,000, 5,000 and above, or do you think it's going to be more boutique?
I feel like it's going to be more boutique for sure. Definitely.
So, how many seaters is Kiva right now?
120.
And with the entire social distancing measure, do you think you'll be reducing covers or taking in limited reservations?
So it depends on when we open up, how much are we allowed to, what the situation is when we're allowed to open up. But definitely we'll be because I have a 120 seat, I have the luxury of keeping them, far away. I can reduce the number for sure. The customer's health is most important in our industry, right? So definitely keep them far away from each other. At least till the situation is much better.
Right. So there is a bro asking on, do you think this year anyone should heavily invest in cloud kitchens, online deliveries and takeaways? Is that the future of the year? Will this entire year be dominated by ghost kitchens?
This year it will be dominated by ghost kitchens for sure. If you have the money, it's great right now. Stay liquid for a while, but work on what you feel like could work. Again, as I said, it's going to be a case-to-case basis. It's going to be on the time. You have to be ready for either scenario. So but for sure, the number of deliveries is definitely increasing. But again, work on your P&L for sure there, because a lot of people don't take into consideration their marketing costs, the aggregator cost, Scooty, Zomato, all of that cost. That's definitely very necessary, because when you're a ghost kitchen, your price is very sensitive.
Sounds good. Also, where do you see restaurant designers heading into in terms of space of that square feet per person? So this is Studio Osmosis. They are a interior design firm, and this is something that they are asking.
So
Also,
I
they are
get the question exactly.
yes, but yes.
Basically, I feel like there'll be two segments, right? There'll be one which is fine dining. I feel like after this, people will be willing to pay a little more for hygiene, which wasn't the case back then. They'll want to know what the ingredients are. They'll want to know what ice you're getting. They'll want to know how clean your kitchen is, which wasn't as important. It was important, but now it's going to be a lot more. So there's going to be that one segment where it's completely, like fine dine, 5 stars, which will do really well in that way. And there's going to be one which is your price sensitive market, which is going to be very different, where, they don't mind that, because at the end of the day, you have to make profit. It's going to be your rent and everything, so you will have to keep it closer. So it depends on which segment you're targeting. Again, with bars also, there are your commercial bars, and then your fine dine and your cocktail bars, which again, two different segments. You need to design it according to the segment that you're catering to.
And there is Sidhu who's asking what should be the best approach for marketing your restaurant post the lockdown period.
As I said, work on it now. Like, you have all the time in the world. This time you will never get back in your life. This is what makes or breaks you, the segment that you're catering to.
And there is Sidhu who's asking what should be the best approach for marketing your restaurant post the lockdown period.
As I said, work on it now. Like, you have all the time in the world. This time you will never get back in your life. This is what makes or breaks you. We all keep complaining we don't have time to do this, don't have time to do that. Work on it right now. See your marketing plan. Talk to your marketing team. Again, they are, from handling 50 brands, right now they're free. Talk to them, come up with plans, work on all of that, and then market it accordingly. Market your hygiene, market your, where your ingredients are coming from. All this is going to become really important, because we haven't been doing all of it. But now all of this is going to become a lot more important. And you can also work on new menus, work on new cocktails. Right now is the time you have the time to do all of it.
I actually really relate to that. So in fact, at this particular time, there are a lot of restaurants thinking to actually lay off their agencies, because that's a variable cost which is still ongoing. But I think at our end, we've in fact done just the opposite. We are working with our agencies even harder right now. We are planning more strategies. We are trying to figure out what are the best campaigns that we can do. And in fact, right now is the time when even agencies have a lot more time to dedicate to our brand, right? Their bandwidth is not divided between a lot of restaurants, and because they have lesser clients now due to sustainability issues, obviously they have a lot more time to give. And I think this is the best time for any restaurant to use their resources and keep all that content ready, right? There's a lot of content that can be generated right out of the house. It should not need one to only be in the restaurant and shoot. And I think that is something 100%. That a lot of restaurateurs should now adopt into, and ensure that by the time the place starts, they should put that content out that makes the customers feel safe and more confident about it. Okay, moving on to the next question. We have what advice would you give for a brand to start a cloud kitchen in this crisis situation? It's by Creme de la Creme Mumbai.
Again, focus on hygiene. Okay, with ghost kitchens and everything, they don't look at hygiene right now as much, but after this, I feel like even your aggregators like Scooty and Zomato and Swiggy are going to be looking at your hygiene a lot more. If you're opening something new, focus on that. Focus on good quality ingredients. Focus on a cuisine that you feel like could work on your target audience. Make a list of questions, like, what is your target audience? What is your cuisine? What is your, your average spend that you want per person? What is your delivery charge? Numbers are the biggest game right now in restaurants. So if you don't have your numbers right, you're going to fail. So get your numbers right before you think about launching anything.
And also, I feel adding to that, automation in the industry is going to be the next big thing. A lot of 100%. Brands who are fully automated and have as less manpower required as possible are going to do well, even in terms of cost. And also, I think dependency of customers when it comes to hygiene. So yes, if your business can take up an entire automated product, there's nothing like. There's basement asking on, do loyalty programs for restaurants, will work, and how does it go? Do you
Yeah,
have an
100%.
existing
Loyalty.
program at Kiba also?
Yeah, we have an existing loyalty program which is specific for Kiba. There are other restaurants that have a basic loyalty program with like points and with a lot of other stuff. I feel like it really works more to connect with your customers. There's a lot that you can do with loyalty. You can keep in touch with them, update them on new menus, let them be the first to taste the menu, and also your loyal customers are the ones who keep coming to your restaurant, right? So if you're launching a new menu, they're the best people to try out. So let's invite them. Let it be either for free meal or paid meal or subsidized, this thing. Let them try food and give you proper reviews on that. Besides that, they will keep coming back even more because it's not only about the discount that you're giving them. It's also a sense of, pride that I have a loyalty program with this and they want to take their friends out and, it's my birthday, I'll go to because the restaurant's like your house, right? When your loyal customers know your staff, they know your bartenders. So the moment you make them more comfortable coming there, they feel like home, they want to come there more often.
And also, so we are going to move on to our last question before we do a quick closing statement. There are a lot of big banquet parties that Kiba gets, right? It's really popular for personal occasions, like birthdays or even small wedding functions. What is the future of that? Do you think banquets are something that is still going to be on the rise post, or is it going to turn into a completely different trend of having lesser people and smaller groups?
I feel like it's for a while at least, till this settles down, it's going to be very different. Let it be birthdays, let it be weddings, let it be anything. It's going to be very close-knit. I don't know if the government's going to put this into place, but I think people themselves want to feel safe and they want their guests to be safe. I feel like things are going to become a lot more intimate now. Number of guests that you're having for these parties is going to become a lot lesser. Again, it really depends on the situation. I don't think anyone can give you an answer to that right now. Tell you if you're going to be allowed or not in the first place, which is the main criteria.
Sounds good, Ronak. It was a great section. If you have any closing remarks or some closing statements that you would like to tell everybody.
I mean, the closing thing would just be like, use this time wisely. I can't emphasize enough on it. Like, watch your Netflix, work out, do all of that, cook, but use this time wisely. You will never get this time back again. I know it's really tough, like everything, it's really tough for everyone. We're all in it together, but just use this time wisely and work on yourself. Reboot. It's the best time to reboot.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ronak, for joining us.